Imagine for a moment the endless golden dunes of North Africa in 1942. General Erwin Rommel, known as the Desert Fox, felt absolutely invincible then. He had outmaneuvered the British with just a handful of tanks and, honestly, not much fuel. To Rommel, the war was really a test of tactical genius. He believed that his superior will could overcome any industrial disadvantage, no matter how big. The German High Command toasted to his many brilliant victories. He looked at the desert almost like it was his private chessboard. Every move he made was designed, really, to humiliate his foes. Rommel dismissed the Americans as, well, mere amateurs and soft newcomers. He just assumed they were too comfortable for the brutal desert. Arrogance was the shield he wore over his dusty uniform. But a silent and heavy storm was brewing in the west. His soldiers shared his belief in their own tactical perfection. They even mocked the reports of a massive US industrial build-up. To them, 1,000 trucks were just 1,000 targets. They didn't realize that a different kind of war had arrived. The era of the tactical duel was ending, and honestly, it was ending very fast. The era of the industrial crush was about to begin. Everything seemed to be going according to Rommel's bold plan, at least for a while. But the supply lines from Berlin were starting to dry up. The Fox was running out of gas and, well, precious time. He needed a sign of hope to keep the fight going. Instead, he found a sign of total and absolute defeat. A single captured crate was about to change his world. During a small skirmish, a German patrol captured a truck. Inside the back they found a strange and heavy crate. They expected to find ammunition or maybe, some dry biscuits. But when they opened it, the air grew very sweet. The German soldiers stared in absolute and cold, silent shock. Inside were items that didn't belong on a battlefield at all. There was fresh white bread and a jar of jam. They found chocolate bars and a tin of real coffee. But the most incredible item was a fresh apple pie. It was still warm from a kitchen thousands of miles away. The German soldiers, who were starving, couldn't even believe it. They realized the Americans weren't struggling for basic food supplies. Rommel was called to inspect the contents of the crate. He picked up a letter found inside from an American. It was a casual note from a mother in Kansas. She mentioned that she hoped the pie arrived for lunch. Rommel realized the United States Navy could ship pie across the ocean. His heart sank as the logistical reality hit him hard. He stood there in the dust, looking at the food, while his men were sharing one drop of bitter water. The Americans had the luxury of fresh desserts at the front. It was a psychological blow that no tank could ever match. The Desert Fox saw the end of his dream then. A chilling realization was starting to poison his mind now. Rommel turned to his chief of staff with a look. He reportedly whispered the words that would haunt the command. "They are not human," he said with a dry voice. He didn't mean they were monsters or aliens from space. He meant that their industrial power was something totally unnatural. A nation that can ship pie into a desert is, to Rommel, the American logistics felt like a supernatural force. It was a machine that defied the laws of war. He realized he wasn't fighting an army of simple men. He was fighting a continental factory that never ever slept. The spirit of the warrior was being crushed by scale. His tactical genius meant nothing against an endless supply line. The phrase, "they are not human," became a private code. It represented the terrifying efficiency of the American war machine. Rommel realized the war was lost in that very moment. No matter how many battles he won, he would lose. The math of the US industry was a lethal sentence. The Desert Fox felt like a man fighting a tide. He began to write a private and very secret report. He wanted the leaders in Berlin to understand the truth, but Hitler was still laughing at the weak American army. Rommel knew that the laughter would soon turn to screams. He saw the shadow of the American eagle over Europe. The not human power was coming for the Third Reich. As the months passed, more reports reached Rommel's tired desk. He heard about ice cream barges in the vast Pacific. The US Navy was building ships just to make dessert, while the Axis was rationing every single drop of oil. The Americans were producing thousands of tons of cold treats. It was a level of wealth that Rommel couldn't compute. He realized the Americans had solved the secret of war. They had turned combat into a massive industrial production line. Every bullet fired by Rommel was a precious, rare resource. But every bullet fired at him was one of millions. The scale of the not-human supply was truly terrifying. The German generals started to feel like ancient small ants. Rommel saw that the American GI was the best fed. His soldiers were fighting for a cause that was, failing. The Americans were fighting with the weight of a world. The Desert Fox knew that morale follows the full stomach. He watched his own men grow thin and very weak. The ice cream was a weapon more lethal than lead. The strategic nightmare was becoming a daily and bitter reality. US supplies were landing in ports that didn't exist before. They built roads and bridges in just a few days. Rommel's tactical traps were being bypassed by sheer raw mass. The genio of the Fox was caught in a cage. The not-human logistics had finally closed the trap tight. Rommel decided to speak the truth to the very top. He wrote a gelid and honest letter to the Führer. He warned that the Americans were an industrial tidal wave. He begged for a political solution before the total collapse. Rommel told them that the flimsy supplies were now gone. The enemy had mastered the art of the eternal flow. The response from Berlin was one of pure, blind denial. They called Rommel a defeatist and a man of fear. They refused to believe that Kansas could beat the Reich. Hitler still believed in the myth of the Aryan spirit. He ignored the warnings of his most respected and best. The master of the bunker was blind to the pie. Rommel realized he was alone in a world of ghosts. He saw his beloved army being led into a slaughter. He began to look for a way to save Germany. The not-human realization had turned him into a rebel. He joined the secret plot to end the war early. The Desert Fox was now hunting his own master's shadow. The letter he wrote remains a chilling historical document today. It reveals the moment a hero loses his own faith. He knew the end was coming with every American truck. The supply lines were the noose around his tired neck. His realization was a death sentence for his own career. A dark secret was now living in his military soul. In July 1944, Rommel's car was hit by a fighter. He was severely injured as his world was finally breaking. But, the real blow came from the Gestapo and Hitler. They discovered his connection to the July 20th bomb plot. The hero of Africa was now, a traitor to the Reich. The not-human truth had led him to this end. Eisenhower looked at the reports of Rommel's forced suicide. The Supreme Commander felt a strange and deep respect then. He knew Rommel was the best the enemy ever had. But, Ike also knew that logistics had won the race. The American pie and the jerry cans had finished him. The Desert Fox was buried with a fake grand honor. The German people were never told the real dark truth. They were told their hero died of his combat wounds. But the generals in the bunkers knew the chilling fact. They knew Rommel saw the end before anyone else did. He saw it in a crate of food and jam. The not-human force had officially claimed its biggest prize. The war continued for a few more bloody long months, but the soul of the German army died with Rommel. They were fighting a ghost that they couldn't ever touch. The American logistics machine kept rolling over their broken lines. The realization of the Desert Fox was now a global. The era of the not-human power was here to stay. In the end, history belongs to the one who feeds. Rommel's story is a haunting lesson for every modern leader. It proves that tactics are nothing without a solid base. The Americans won because they understood the heart of logistics, moving supplies, people, and ideas with unmatched precision and scale, even when the odds seemed impossible. The not-human realization is honestly the core of our power. It's the ability to see the bigger picture, to coordinate vast resources, and to adapt quickly when everything is on the line. It's a secret that we still carry in 2026 today, woven into the fabric of our nation's success and resilience. We look back at the captured crate and, well, we wonder what stories it could tell. What secrets were hidden inside, and how did its journey shape the lives of those who found it? How can a simple dessert tucked away in a forgotten box change the map of the world and influence the course of history in unexpected ways? It reminds us that the smallest details, sometimes overlooked, are in fact the heaviest, carrying the weight of entire stories and destinies within them. Rommel saw the future in a warm and fresh pie. He was wise enough to know when he was beaten. The fatal mistake of his masters was, truly, their blind pride. I hope you enjoyed this journey into the fox's mind, exploring the strategies, decisions, and mysteries that shaped a legend. The realization of General Rommel remains a rare historical truth, a glimpse into the complexities of leadership and the fog of war. The world is full of these patterns hidden in mud, waiting for curious minds to uncover their meaning and significance. Keep looking for the secrets that the textbooks often miss, because history is alive in the details and the stories we choose to seek out. Thank you for spending your time with a friend like me, sharing in the wonder and discovery of the past together. Until the next revelation, stay sharp, stay very wise, and never stop searching for the stories that history still has to tell.